Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mildly Interesting. We begin with number 19. This grape getting strangled by its own stem. Looks a little bit like something that I don't necessarily want to comment, but you know, you can kind of infer what I mean. At least I don't know, about 85% of you. This is like, you know how before you're supposed to, like, when you're throwing away the plastic thing for soda cans, you're supposed to cut it up. Just make sure that before you grow your grapes, you cut all the stems to ensure that none of the grapes get stuck like this, because it's a really sad, unfortunate situation. So just make sure you grow your grapes after they're cut off the stem. There's no flaw with that logic, okay? My skin is translucent. I feel like I've seen images of people who have like similarly translucent, very visible veins, but yeah, that is very translucent and lots of veins. And I hope nobody is here in the comments to explain why there is some terrible medical condition that needs to be addressed here, or something that's like the, you know, when pets are being cute and then someone's like, yeah, they're actually about to die. I've seen so many. I have this unique thing that it turns out to be a serious medical condition. My thoughts are not original, and my meta thoughts are just everybody thinks the same thing at this point, because it's the pet's problem. That's the freaking pet's problem at the end of the day. God dang it! Why do cute pets have to often be suffering from some terrible thing? My book has a page ripped out, but still goes from 302 to 303. This, I don't understand. Is this a clever marketing exercise? Is it just to get you to think like, wait, what happened here? What is the secret page? Was there a page printed here that said, tear this out so that whoever gets this book next is really, really confused by what's going on? This page is completely blank, but the next person who gets this book will have no idea once you tear out the page, and then they see that it's 302, 303. Did I miss anything? What was the chopping down the cherry tree? What's the book about? What caused historic error? Something about Tony Blair, and this is historical nonfiction, but they pulled a troll on you. I really wish I knew what that page said. God dang it. Out of 40 empty tubes of lip balm, I recovered 18 full tubes. Is this a cross post from A-hole design or mildly infuriating over into mildly interesting? Is this like, yeah, so I bought a bunch of bags of chips, and then I noticed that the bags of chips were about 75% air, because it's not filled all the way up. But then you can argue with the chips that obviously it's, you know, so that they don't all get mashed together, and it gives more padding so that they stay in full chip form. But it's an experiment. You just ordered all the chapstick, and you're like, I'm gonna see how much is actually in the tubes. The answer might annoy you. My local gas station has to put a sign in the milk section because people open the milk to put it in their coffee, then put it back? What? Who thinks this? Do not take milk for your coffee and not pay for it. That is stealing. Who does it? Who's like, you know what? I'll pay for the coffee, but it needs some milk. I'm just gonna go take some from in here. I will admit, as a small wee lad, around say maybe 8 years old, I would sometimes, every now and again, I would be in the grocery store and I would, you know, take one of the soda cans off of the 6-pack thinking, you should be able to do this, right? And then my mom kind of just let it happen, right? Like we'd get to the checkout and we'd present this lone soda can. And I was way too young at the time to figure out like, how did they actually ring this up? Did they have a method here? Was my mom actually getting charged the full price of a 6-pack when I grabbed this and she just went with it? That's definitely not something my mom would do, because she would scan receipts and be like, did everything get charged exactly, properly, correct? Like, I'm not taking their word for it. Did they mess something up? So like, there's no way. So what did they do? Maybe it was I inadvertently only took soda cans that actually had single units available elsewhere in the store, and I just got lucky every single time. But then somebody must have gone for the 6-pack later, and they're like, why is it missing a can? Which I've actually seen myself, you know, in recent times at grocery stores, and I'm like, that was me. Except I never like drank something and put it back, which is another story. Rabies vaccines are purple, apparently. God, rabies is so scary to me, man. It just like if you present a symptom, you're dead. That's it. It's game over. GG no re, and someone's gonna be like, well, there's been a person who survived it. I don't believe that person had a good time after surviving it. They weren't like, all right, back up and at 'em. We're doing good. Like, it was not that kind of recovery. Rabies is just you're done. And it's terrifying that just a squirrel gets it and then they're carrying it and then they bite you or something like that. And then if you didn't realize somehow, then it's game over. You're gone. You're done. I don't know. Maybe it's purple because they want it to be really like easy to spot because otherwise you die. And that's it. Matt is on both locks, but with different partners. Matt and Kat, Matt and Jade. Iceland 23, Iceland 23. Okay, I'm gonna assume that Matt didn't just like go to Iceland twice in the same year with two different partners, right? Matt's not then putting the lock next to the other one. He's seeing like, will she notice? Can I get away with this? Right? This is a lock shop nearby that sells souvenir locks that then people lock on the bridge, right? And Matt 1 did it, and then another Matt traveled to Iceland and was like, hey, let me do this too. And then went over to the bridge and was like, look, another Matt bought it at the same shop. Let me put it next to it. Or is it the same Matt? And one of the relationships ended real abruptly after this trip. And then the next one ended real abruptly after this photo was taken. My friend laminated and cut out all of her Uno cards. That, I mean, you know, if you have really messy people over who just don't pay attention to being careful with the cards and they get really drunk and the cards end up not really folded, this isn't gonna solve, but with drinks on them, then maybe this is the way. You're like, gosh, dang it, I can't keep replacing these Uno cards because people are spilling their coffee, their vodka, their whiskey, their sticky colas all over these things. I'm just gonna get them all individually laminated because that won't be tedious and expensive. Like, we're talking laminated as in like full-on sealed together, or just like Pokemon card case? Either way, kind of a pain, kind of tedious, but I appreciate the dedication. Japanese gum comes with a pad of paper to wrap it up and throw it away later. Like, does it all? Is that actually policy in the country? Like, if you're gonna have chewing gum, you have to provide a way to not be messy with it and like throw it out. I've never understood the concept of spitting gum on the ground. Like, why do that? Do you spit out other things when you don't like? I guess maybe people now, people also just spit their spit, which I've always found to be a very gross habit. But I guess at least that washes away over time. But I just don't understand. I don't understand how generally it's, you know, pretty accepted. Let's not litter. But then when it comes to gum and cigarettes, it's like, yeet. I don't know, but maybe this encourages people to throw it out or something like that, which would be a very nice thing to do. And having never been to Japan, I'm just going off of what I have heard, which is it seems to be clean, which is nice. I'll go someday. Looks like a cool place to visit. The print on my daughter's crib sheet doesn't show on her monitor. Huh. Is it like done by vampires? Are you a vampire? Do you have vampire goods that don't show up on, well, that's just mirrors, right? It's not cameras. Vampires would show up on cameras. Anybody know the official lore of vampires? They show up in photographs. I mean, you know, they do show up in the vampire movies. They don't just, otherwise the movies wouldn't work really well if vampires disappeared on camera. So they must. Yeah, so this is something else entirely. I don't know what exactly. It must be something night vision related, I would assume. But I don't know what. Fanta in Italy has no dyes or artificial flavors. Dude, it looks like a San Pellegrino or like an Orangina. I wonder if it tastes like that too, because if it has no artificial flavors and they have to genuinely flavor it with oranges, it probably is gonna taste like a San Pellegrino or Orangina or something like that, right? It must be due to, policy in Italy or something. You can't have high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavors. It's like in Mexico, the Coke, Mexican Coke is really good. It doesn't have high fructose corn syrup because you're not allowed to put it in, so it uses real sugar, and I think it's tasty. I do think there's a difference. I don't know if that's like some placebo effect, but I think it's pretty good. Maybe it's just because the bottles are a lot bigger, and you're like, heck yeah, I got a whole bunch more sugar right now, and that's the positive association with it or something. But anyway, now I'll have to... One day I'll travel places. For now, not really, but one day, travel to Italy, rent an Italian car, go vroom around drinking Fanta. Be a good time. My vasectomy testing kit came with a card. Traculations. Your readiness checklist. It's time to test when you've completed this list. You've opened the kit. Nice. It's been 12 weeks, and you've... Man, well, it's something I have firsthand experience being able to comment on, and I can say that I didn't get this. But I would have been very, very happy to have received such a comprehensive, detailed set of instructions on what it is that's supposed to go on after. Oh God, it gets a little too personal with like the. Anyway, with the what's happening. Anyway, hey, we both did this. Me and OP. Yeah, sorry. One of my sausages pressurized its wrapper. I feel like I'd be a little concerned because I've never seen this happen, and I'd be like, well, is that probably a bad thing? Like this sausage in particular is letting out gases, and presumably this was not the case when it shipped out, and so therefore, is there a particular chemical reaction happening in this sausage that is producing a gas and causing this, or is there just a flaw in the packaging on this one where it's not able to keep enough pressure? But it's containing the pressure though, right? Because otherwise it would still be flat. It would just be loose. It wouldn't actually be contained and like, solidly inflated. So there's a reaction producing gas in there. I'd be concerned, actually. I probably would not want to eat that one. Water forms, perfectly on my glasses after rinsing them. I'm gonna assume, and here it is, just in case you can't see, it's really small. I don't know if video compression, what your device you're watching on, but I'm gonna assume that this is not because there's like some engraving on the glass. I'm gonna assume actually that the water just that got together with all of its hydrogen bonds, and it was like, it'd be really funny if we just said, to this guy, because he's gonna look through their glasses, and they were just like, that would be really funny. And what's more, like, we are hydrogen bonding, and this is like H, which is hydrogen, and that's just like, oh my God, it's got double meaning, and all the water molecules, they agreed, and they got into position, and they were like, and then they got Reddit points. And that's really good for them. My finger, after I finally got a ring off that's been on for 2.5 years straight, I feel like there are at least a handful of people like, okay, amateur kid, get back to me when you've been married for 50 years. All right? I haven't removed my ring, and this isn't me, obviously, but I'm speaking for them. I haven't removed my ring in 50 years. It's still there. I don't even want to know what it's going to look like when that thing comes off. I'll know what it looks like. Well, I won't, because I'm going to die before I know what it looks like. And it's probably going to look real freaking gross in there and like super bowed out. And that's amateur hour, okay? It's probably fused with my bone at this point. It can't come off. So get back to me when you've worn it for a real stretch of time, a real commitment, kiddo. Still, that's that's looking pretty compressed right there. I just wouldn't be able to bring myself to wear a ring for an extended period of time because I would be super worried. Like, if I need this to come off, is it gonna be a problem? Am I gonna get degloved? I don't want that. My rubber watch strap disintegrated after 7 years in storage. Well, hopefully that wasn't the expensive part of the watch. Hopefully that manufacturer wasn't like making bold claims about, we got the best watch strap out there. turns to dust 7 years later. Yeah, hopefully it's nice and easily replaceable. I was actually just trying to remove some plastic like covering that was on this metal part of an outdoor barbecue that like I hadn't used it, and I was like, oh, this has been sitting there since I've had the place. And it was no longer a satisfying plastic, you know, like an electronic screen, no longer a satisfying removal. It was crispy and crunchy and would come off in little bits and pieces. I gave up because I was like, oh, this is not fun. This is gonna take a really long time. I gotta go get my skateboard knee pads, get on my hands and knees, and like scrub this thing off one little flick of plastic at a time. And I don't know, it'd be better if it turned to dust. Quite frankly, it would have come off easier. The sushi place next to my job was carving up this giant 700-pound bluefin tuna. It's on a forklift. Wow. I mean, that's kind of cool to see though, right? It doesn't get more fresh than that. Well, maybe it's been frozen. I don't know actually how it usually works, because you know, you get the fish from the fish market, but then generally I think that the protocol with sushi is that it has to have been frozen for like 2 or 3 days in order to freeze out any parasites and stuff like that. Now, who knows? Maybe there's some places that are like, we're not gonna do that because we go ultra fresh, straight from the ocean into your mouth. But like you're supposed to, I believe, have it frozen for a couple days. But anyway, I don't know, is the fish as a whole frozen? Do they cut this out and then they freeze it for a couple days and then serve it? Or is this just like omega fresh? Also though, dude, tuna, it's like, they're gigantic. And I can't imagine. How did people, like back in the day, was it all nets? Did someone ever catch a 700-pound tuna on a line? It was like 50 people holding onto this thing, trying to bring this onto the boat. I'm sure I could find out really easily if I just Google searched, because that's the modern day we live in, but instead I'll just speculate and ramble. This frog, toad, jumped into my campfire and got carbonized overnight. That's unfortunate. Why does he still have like some mouth color going on? It's just not complete char? Maybe he kept it closed long enough that it kind of retained some of its original coloration. Isn't there like a whole thing about, you know, if you stick a frog into a pot and then you slowly boil the water, then the frog won't notice and it'll just let itself be boiled. But then if the frog just jumps directly into the hot water, it's supposed to realize, holy frick, this is hot boiling water, I'm gonna jump out. Apparently it's all a lie, because this frog, when introduced to not only the water, but just the fire itself, was like, everything is fine. Do the dog meme in the burning house, except replace it with this, and this is fine. I don't feel this either. Ramp it up slowly, straight into boiling. You know, it is what it is. I'm chilling. Except I guess he's not really chilling anymore. He dead. Poor fellow. And the top for the last month, 2 random yet almost identical boomers. What the frick? You spotted me and my clone. This is like the one time I went outside and was on public transportation, like in the last year, and I got spotted and someone took a photo of me and my clone and posted it on Mildly Interesting. Ugh. My anonymity in public is ruined. I can't believe they spotted me, the ultimate boomer YouTuber, in public. The clones are supposed to stay in the basement too, but I had to take one in for service and, you know, give it some entertainment with the phone on the public transport and stuff like that. And anyway, hair dyed. I got the hair dyed since then and stuff like that. But anyway, frick. Cover was blown. Occasionally dressed in plaids too. Just was feeling the moment, I guess. You know, wanted to look a little more dapper. Anyway, that's it for the last month of Mildly Interesting. I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.